All right, so what do we do with GitHub Universe today?
So as I understand it, the folks at GitHub Universe are, of course, they're happening at the same time. So there's this live stream, and they are. You can see actually, it looks like we're live looking at. Actually, we can bring that up again. If we're going to just be, live TV, let's just be live TV, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
see the folks over at GitHub Universe are setting up. So we've just finished a session, and folks are setting up there in this center square at the Center for the Arts there. And they're going to bring in Brian Randall in a second here. I don't know if they even know that they're live, which I think is kind of funny. It's
You
very
know,
likely that they don't know that they're live.
I
Brian is going to come over and hang out, and we're going to chat with them about what's happening. But I can certainly talk to you about how I'm feeling before they get here. It's unclear what's going on at this point.
sure. I had the thought from Ghostbusters that it's always challenging to cross the streams.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the thing is that there's two live streams happening at the same time right now, of course.
Right.
And you can see there's Gaffer just walked by and there's cord management and stuff like that. So they're going to eventually take our stream and broadcast us to GitHub Universe. And then we are seeing, of course, a live feed. This is like the man on the street interview, of course. There's not a hurricane here, but there's just a hurricane of activity as they go and set up the machines there for the next stream.
I'm just appreciating all that sunshine because it's been pretty gray down in up in the Pacific Northwest. We keep forgetting time shifting. It's all the same time zone, but definitely different weather.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, one thing that you may not have seen, actually, Richard,
Hmm.
let's bring me full screen and I'll show you something that I've been doing with GitHub while we wait for them to set up. And
Ooh, code
we'll
demo from
check.
Mr. Hanselman. I'm all over that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's go ahead and put me full screen here, and I'll pop something up here and show you something that I've been working on lately.
Hmm.
Okay. So here's the deal. We've got this website here is called Azure Friday. You've probably seen this before.
I have watched.
Let's see. Yeah. Let's see what's going on here. So if you can see that Azure Friday, I'm looking at the live stream because I want to make sure that I'm not in a two shot here.
Yeah, it looks good to me, man.
You're able to see that, okay?
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Okay.
And your
So
perfect
here's
zooming
Azure Friday.
skills are still perfect.
All right, good deal. So Azure Friday is the website that I'm running for the Azure video podcast that we do. And if we scroll down to the bottom of it here, you can see right now I'm currently on .NET 6, and I'm in the process this week of upgrading to .NET 7, okay?
Right.
What I've done here is I've put this on GitHub, of course, and people can go up and look at that. It's public. It's pretty awful code, so lower your expectations. But within that, we've got this .github folder, okay? And in that GitHub folder, I've got a workflows with its Azure Friday,
Nice.
okay?
Is that a
Now, I'm not a
YAML
fan of the
file?
YAML.
Oh
I'm not a
boy.
fan of the YAML, but the kids love the YAML. And within this, you can actually see on GitHub that this YAML file includes information that Azure would need so that we might go and do a deployment directly from a GitHub action. So we've got .NET Core right here. So when I go and upgrade this to .NET 7, I'll add that to this YAML file, and
Hmm.
that will tell Azure where the Azure web app's going to go, that it's the release configuration, and that we're going to be using whatever version of .NET that's going on here. All right.
Awesome.
And then the build and deploy job right here is running on Ubuntu on the latest Ubuntu Docker file.
So
All
that
right.
literally just grabbed the latest build.
Exactly. So that's going to use the latest Ubuntu that they've got right set up there. And then it's going to use some of these built-in GitHub actions like checkout, which is a pretty standard action, but
Hmm.
then set up .NET, right? So GitHub Actions knows about .NET, makes it super easy to do this. I'm going to set up .NET with that version that we mentioned then just before.
Right.
Then restore it, build it, and even I'm going to be running my tests on my website in the cloud.
So this is code. This is your unit test code, like whatever you've written.
Yeah, so this is going to be whatever I want it to be. So in this case, that could be playwright tests, like we
Right.
just saw from Debbie.
Yep.
That could be headless tests. Mine happen to be xunit.net tests, which is fine. And then we've got .NET Publish, which is an Azure Web Apps deploy. So this is really interesting to point out that here, let me go ahead and show you this again. That uses, and that uses are 3 different actions. The top one being one that's built into GitHub Actions for checking things out.
Right.
The second one is setting up .NET so that we can do that build. And then here we have an Azure one. So you get this nice sense of orchestration moving through GitHub. And I've got this kind of cafeteria plan where I can pick the actions that work for me and, and make that happen.
What's the at V2, then at V1, then at V2?
Yeah, that is literally the version. So in this context, that version appears after the end of it. So you've got your kind of your namespace, your name, and then your version. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and it's very clear, right? Those series of steps. Like, I know we're not huge fans of YAML because we've got to get the indents all right, but you can't argue that it's hard to read this, especially in VS Code. The character lighting and so forth makes very clear. This is what I'm going to run. Here's what it's called. Each of the phrases are there. You know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Like you say, you can say, YAML, you can say JSON, you can say XML, you can have opinions about your markup, but ultimately it's just name value pairs. And what's nice about this is it is very readable.
Yeah.
Now, what's cool about this, though, is that inside of that GitHub folder, we do have our workflows. We've also got my most favorite thing, Dependabot.
Right.
Right. This is fantastic. So Dependabot is actually looking at the NuGet package ecosystem because that's the ecosystem that I care about as a .NET developer.
Right.
Right. And we're going to be looking at the package manifests. And that is going to be, looking every once in a while for updates to what's going on. And that is going to then give me a report. So if I go into Actions, we can see these URL changes. This is me. You know how when you do a bunch of commits and you don't know what you're doing, you're like, small change, little tiny change.
Maybe this is the last change. Hopefully the last change this time.
Yeah.
Please save me.
Making a mess. And you can see.
They were all seconds apart, right? I could see 19 days ago in X many seconds.
Yeah. But check this out. This is the part that I love. If I go to the pull requests, have you seen this? Have you spent any time with Dependabot?
No. Well, yeah, but not doing this. What are you doing? Okay.
So this is a joy. So remember, Azure Friday is just myself and Rob Karen, right? This is not a team, right? I'm not a team of thousands here, okay? This is just me.
Right.
Hanselman International is exactly one guy, and then Rob Karen, who does my video production. But what's really neat about this is it feels like there's more people working for me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here we've got Dependabot, which is, a bot that has decided to bump with a pull request. Hey, there's been an update to this particular.
That's Polly, right? That's
Polly, right? Exactly.
Guy
one of my favorite NuGets. And Polly has been bumped up to version 6.10. Now, what's great about this is the bot writes really good release notes, and it does that by actually sourcing them from here. So that NuGet ecosystem is rich and first class in that. GitHub Actions and that GitHub ecosystem. So I'm inside of GitHub doing my .NET stuff. It's first class, and then they'll go and link me out to those release notes. And then depending on how someone fills out their release notes, some of these release notes will actually include a detailed change log. Look at this. So they've actually copied in from other change logs based on the specific well-known text files, like changelog has a format, right?
Right. So for you as a responsible project owner, you've got enough information to make a decision about that pull request. Is this going to be good?
So you can see here we've got a standard changelog.md that is keeping a changelog, which is a specific markdown format for changelogs. Dependabot knows that. So this means that I'm looking at a pull request that feels like a real person wrote it.
Right.
And they're saying, wow, here's the changelog. Should I upgrade? Yeah, I probably should take that upgrade. But then it'll even pull in the commits, and I can go and do a diff and see what changed, which is great.
Wow.
Okay. Then merge it directly. So it's almost like I've got these employees working for me, that those employees are actually bots. And that's really great. So that is built into GitHub Actions. And then these workflows can include testing, building, code QL quality and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So later on today, when I go and upgrade my Azure Friday to version 7 of .NET, I'm going to be confident that that is going to work out well because I've got all of those tests and I've got all that support, and it's all going to happen inside of Actions, which is really cool.
Well, and you have all those other possible PRs you could be doing because Dependabot sorted that out for you and said, oh, by the way, that package has got an update. Here's the changes. Like, you don't have to dig around and do all that stuff you used to do yourself.
Yep, exactly. One of the other things that I've been working on that I think is really cool that I'm looking forward to getting working on .NET 7 again later today is if we go over to my podcast website. It's kind of fun, I think. You do this too, is to use your personal websites as, as a test bed for these things, because it's just going to be my site.
Right. Broken. Yeah. No, it's the right place to experiment.
Last week I got to speak to Randall Monroe, if you remember him from XKCD. So folks can go and check that out. But we scroll all the way to the bottom. Look at this. Look at this. See how we've got, again, .NET 6 upgrading to 7. But look at this GitHub integration here. Deployed from this specific commit.
I love that. I know what build's running on my site right now.
Right. Now, you might like that idea. You might not, right? It just depends on how you want to run your site.
Well, we're this kind of geek.
Yeah, if you're this kind of geek. So in this case here, I want to see that. Now, I could put an admin block around that. So it's like, if admin show that, otherwise don't show that, right? You don't have to do that. But what's neat about this is then I can right-click on that commit, and I can go directly to it. So let's go ahead and just bring up that commit. And look, I just went directly to the commit 10 days ago. So I know that I made a change to one of my links, and I had to add, and I had a missing @ here. So I know exactly what's in production.
Right.
And then because of those actions and builds, or if I'm using something like Azure DevOps or anything that's any kind of build server, whether that be GitHub Actions or otherwise, I can go and click on that link right here, and that'll take me directly to the build logs as well. And again, I could put if admin around that if I felt like that was important to me.
Yeah, you could hide it if you want to, but you get to see it if you need to see it. I think that's the important part, right?
Exactly.
How many times have we got a build-in test that we thought we deployed, but we didn't? And then someone's complaining about a problem. It's like, oh, I already addressed that. And then you have to, you don't know when you look at the production site that change hadn't gotten pushed up.
Yeah. And if I go back over to GitHub and I show you here under security, you can see that Dependabot and code scanning shows up right there.
Right.
So then I can click on Dependabot and see the specific alerts if there was something in the ecosystem I was worried about. Now, I don't have any alerts because I'm not having any security issues on the site right now. But GitHub Actions and GitHub will warn me as a .NET developer if something goes down.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I look forward to those emails, but I'm grateful when they arrive. It's like, you better go check. Because sometimes these are 0 days, like they're real vulnerabilities, but they're built as PRs. Many times you can just check them in and push your build and be good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, learning about these dot files, these .github, or like this .dev container is a super important thing to do. Because, for example, here I could even go and open up a code space and pull that dev container in as well. And that's another nice thing. And .NET developers really need to spend some time understanding what's inside of these folders. And if you bump into one of your favorite open source projects and they have one of those folders, go and look in there. See what actions they're using. See their code QL. Take a look at how they are configuring their Dependabot settings, and you might learn something.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to explore. We always learn from others that way. So,
yeah, exactly.
Being able to look at that project and look at your project. Like, I think I'm going to use you as an example, Scott, and say, well, how did Scott do this? And then see if there's some things I could take advantage on Run As.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. You should figure out what are the things that you can do, because, one of the things that I like about this ecosystem is it makes me feel like a 10x developer,
right?
Even though I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Still trying to figure out if those people actually exist, but I get the idea, right?
Well, I'm just one person, right?
Yeah.
This is, like I joke about Hanselman International. It's just me,
yeah,
right? But if I can go and put up a dashboard that expresses what's going on, I can see here that there's, 200 users on my site right now, and I've got a couple of small errors. This makes me feel like I have an ops team, doesn't it?
Right.
Like I'm a real boy.
Well, a sense of activity and what's going on. It's like now you can go mine into those areas. Say, well, what's going on? Like, where are the problems? What's the actual action look like? And then see the effects of your work.
Yep, exactly. So now I'm excited to get, up to date on .NET 7. There's going to be a ton of stuff going on there, and I want to make sure that I know that. So I've recently just updated my Visual Studio just about 20 minutes ago. So I've got Visual Studio running here.
17.4.
Yep, and I've got 15.4, and I'm all set up, ready to go. So then when I load up, like for example, my podcast website, then I'm going to bring that up and then go through and update this. And in fact, I noticed actually on Twitter earlier, just about an hour ago, Rick Brewster, the author of Paint.net, one of my favorite .NET apps, actually just upgraded it from .NET 6 to .NET 7. And Rick pointed out that it took him 5 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, 5 minutes? And he says, well, I got a phone call in the middle, so that's why it took so long.
Yeah, I was thinking, what do you do for 5 minutes? It's just a build.
These are the questions that we're asking, right? I'm not exactly sure why it took so long. Well, yeah, it was a phone call. And he's like, a phone call? An actual phone call? Do those even happen anymore?
Yeah.
Right? So
that's not what I use phones
I've got .NET 7 as a choice right there, and I can make the right choice for me, for my website. And I'll be doing that in the next day or two.
And those little incremental updates, like I noticed one of your sites was 6.08 and the other one 6.010. Like, when do you decide to push those?
When do I decide to update those?
Yeah. Like to actually put those in.
All right, let's get to it. Right now, we're going to go live with Brian Randall at the .NET conference.
Oh, I think something's happening here. Hang on a second, my friends. I think we're breaking in. This is great because we're doing 2 live streams. We're going to cross the streams here.
Here comes the stream crossing. Make sure your protons stay in place.
Well, while we're doing that, I'll show you. If I hit download right here, can you see that?
Yeah.
So here's the .NET website, and I can decide whether I want standard term or long-term support, so I can make the decision that's right for my business and my company.
Right.
I see Brian coming in soon here, and we'll figure out what's going on. I'm looking at the cam. What's happening? What's happening?
Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing here at GitHub Universe?
How are you doing, sir? We're crossing the streams.
This is crazy. I thought we don't do that. That's a Ghostbusters problem. It's gonna change the universe, man.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. So you have like like water behind you right now. You're in the middle of a fountain.
I am a fountain here in sunny San Francisco for GitHub Universe. Even the sun thought they should come out for our wonderful event.
Very, very exciting stuff. Well, thanks for letting us jump into your stream, and thank you for jumping into our stream. Appreciate that.
It's wonderful. We love .NET developers. So rumor has it, you guys have this amazing thing going on telling the world about a great new version of .NET.
We are in fact. Yeah, we just launched .NET 7, and just a few minutes ago I was talking with Richard Campbell and showing him how I've got GitHub Actions going and building my entire website, testing it, running Dependabot. I've got CodeQL. I've got security updates. I feel like I have a DevOps team, except it's just me, right?
A DevOps team of one. That's fantastic. Love it.
Yeah. So I put together a couple of things for you that might make you smile. First, I've got this lovely slide that includes the shiny GitHub Universe. So we got the cooperative crossover for our friends at GitHub. But I think you might get a kick out of this here. You see my LEDs in the background?
Oh, what do you got going on there? Oh, glowing Mona. Oh, that is wonderful, Scott.
Put the Octocat up.
So you know what's wonderful about that is I know in your heart of hearts you're a tinkerer and you like to hack things. So have you got your mail yet today?
Have I got my mail today? I have not yet received my mail. Do I need to go outside?
Well, no, something's coming for you. We have sent you a special gift, a hackable Raspberry Pi GitHub Universe badge just for you.
Oh.
So Martin Woodward thought of you. It should hopefully even be there today. And we just want to share the love with our buddies. A little ink display, put your name on it, or tell a story. whatever you want to do.
Oh, that is very cool. Actually on my desk right now, I've got, Meadow.net devices. Meadow just had their release 1.0 release candidate. So I can run .NET on tiny devices. I've got .NET running on Raspberry Pis with our friends at PiTop. So adding a Raspberry Pi device to my pile here is going to be perfect. I've even got this Wilderness Labs project lab right here. And so in this case, I'm actually putting together a weather station, working on a weather station, again, powered by .NET.
It's a wonderful world we live in. It's amazing. So look for this in the mail and let us know what you think. Put some photos on Twitter for us.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah. You've been heads down, of course, focused on GitHub Universe, but have you seen some of the cool stuff going on with .NET 7?
Yes, and I've been able to work with it. But why don't you tell the community what we've got for them? Because a lot of the Hubbers are heads down today with our keynote.
Yeah. So it's a couple of the highlights here that I'm excited about. I just literally updated my Visual Studio just a few minutes ago, but I was pointing out to Richard Campbell that we've got native support for ARM64, which is really, really cool. So that's cool for a couple of reasons. First, I've got just over here on my standing desk the new Windows Dev Box, which is an ARM64 device. So we've got native ARM. So I've got both native ARM for .NET 7 and native ARM for Visual Studio itself, which is really cool. And right over here, I can grab my Surface Pro X ARM-based device, which I can now run Visual Studio and .NET 7 on. So we're starting to see a lot more action in the ARM space, which is really, really cool. And then
that is great news.
It is great news. And then, of course, Linux support just keeps coming, right? We keep the hits keep coming with the Linux support on with .NET. We're in the box with Ubuntu at this point. So, when you have Ubuntu, you have .NET and you have that ability. So it's nice to just have that out of the box. And we appreciate our partners at Canonical for, making stuff like that happen.
That's fantastic, because just, reducing the friction to get started is wonderful.
Well, it's just nice to know that it's available and it's ready to go out of the box. So the other thing that is really cool is you can build container images with .NET without having to install anything. So you're getting container images out of the box without using Docker Desktop. You can build a container and then push it to a container registry. So developers can build containers locally and push them without any additional software.
Man, friction-free. Keep it up. That's great. What else you got there?
Yep, that's pretty cool. And then, of course, cross-platform mobile apps, the .NET MAUI, the .NET Modern App UI, the ability to create applications that are going to run anywhere. I mentioned before these devices that are running. Is that a DJ?
Yes, we have a DJ. We are getting ready to have some music at lunch.
Just casually. I want to go back to that. You just casually threw out a DJ. That's pretty cool. I'm showing my slides, and then suddenly there's a DJ available. It makes me feel like maybe we should have had a DJ here, and now you're just trying to show off at this point.
Well, it's great to have a live conference after the pandemic, man. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's very cool. I love that. That's cool. We're gonna have to step it up next time and get a DJ, because now you're just showing off. Yeah, so I was saying that actually I want to go back to .NET 6 is included in Ubuntu 22.04. So you just go apt install .NET 6 and you just get it, which is ridiculous.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we anything we can do to make reduce the friction so the developer can do the magic and write code as opposed to work on infrastructure and all the stuff that goes into that and getting their machine ready is great.
Yeah. And then, for folks that are maybe on .NET Core 3 or .NET 5, and they're like, I don't know, what do I want to do? You have the .NET Upgrade Assistant now, which is like a step-by-step command line tool that'll walk you through the upgrade process, and it basically will perform the migration for you. So, one of my games that you might remember, Baby Smash,
yes,
is almost 16, 17 years old now. And in fact, the baby from Baby Smash is getting their driver's license this week.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah. But that's interesting because .NET is both mature, it's ready to go in containers, it's ready for cloud native, but it's also, there's a lot of legacy there.
Exactly. And organizations rely on it for their line of business software every day.
And Baby Smash in the example was a WPF app from 17 years ago. We ran the upgrade assistant on it and we brought that forward. So if you might be using WPF, you might be using WCF, Windows Communication Foundation, you might be thinking, oh, the new .NET's not for me. Turns out it actually is.
That's wonderful. God, I remember when you brought that out. That was wonderful. My children played with it. It was great.
Yeah. I was surprised how easy it was to upgrade. It walks you through the process. It converts the things that you need to convert, and we're putting in analyzers and code fixers. So if you have a WinForms or a WPF, a console app, or a class library app, we'll have these fixers that will say step by step, and it's not automatic. And by automatic, I mean it's not like a black box where it does a conversion. It literally is like an interview. And it walks you through. I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm going to back up your code. I'm going to do that. So you can put those commits into GitHub really neatly and say, all right, upgraded this, upgraded those. And then if you want, squash the commit and do your thing.
Just think about the changes in the generation when you first built that to now you can build it on GitHub and share with the community, get feedback, get pull requests and contributions to just make it all that much better.
Absolutely. There's also a ton of stuff going on in the web space, in the ASP.NET Core on .NET 7. We've got support for HTTP 3 built in. So just when you're thinking, maybe I need to upgrade to HTTP 2, too late. Now it's
too late without 3.
We've got that as well. And if you have been out of the .NET space for a minute, it's really, really easy to make these web APIs small, minimal APIs. It's a really interesting expression of how to do a minimal API. So those are great for cloud native apps. I'm looking at the list here. There's rate limiting. We've got new support for output caching. We've got gRPC. The perf numbers that we're getting on .NET 7 are redonkulous and super, super fast. So it's the fastest .NET ever.
That's fantastic. Well, we're working hard to make it easier for everybody to get started. So do you have another slide there by chance, maybe?
Let's see. Oh, look at this.
Look at that.
What's that? What's happening at GitHub Universe?
Well, we love .NET developers, and one of the things we announced today is code spaces for everyone. 60 hours free to do whatever you want. So that includes .NET on Linux with the click of a button, Scott. Don't even have to apt-get anything. Just open up a new code space.
So that just, do I have to click anything? Do I have to sign up? I don't have to. Do I just have a GitHub and I have this access now?
You have a GitHub handle. You go on, click on Code Spaces, and click the button. And we got new templates to make it easy to get started. Yeah, I know. What? It's absolutely wonderful. And then we've got, as you know, Copilot is available right now for individuals. You can sign up for a free trial if you haven't played with that. And now it's available for companies. We've had great response from the individuals out there. Over 100,000 people use it every day. And now companies want to buy it for their developers. And, you talked about Actions. We brought full support for ARM now in the GitHub Actions runners, as well as we have some monster-size runners for Windows and Ubuntu. 64 cores, 256 gigs of RAM. I think you can build the next version of Baby Smash okay.
This is the Godzilla level compute machines.
Absolutely. And so we got a lot of other great features. But I think again, we got this new State of the Octaverse report, 10 years this year. And something I want to tell the .NET community, number one, C# is holding strong as the 5th most popular language on GitHub. And you ready for this? You're going to love this, Scott. Our fastest growing communities, the top 10, number 4, .NET MAUI, and number 5, Microsoft Playwright.
Very cool. We just a few minutes ago at .NET Conf had our friends from Playwright come and show us that. And again, running those Playwright runners in GitHub Actions is a really great way to get started with end-to-end testing.
It's fantastic. And of course, GitHub, we're the home for everybody. So Python, JavaScript continues to be number 1. So, if you want to get your web on, we've got lots of templates for that. And again, in security, as you brought up, you can be a DevOps team of 1. And we continue to offer, Dependabot forever for free and open source, as well as the new security report. And that's probably a good thing. If you find an issue in one of those community libraries you're contributing to, we can do private CVE reporting to help the community with those problems. So again, GitHub is all about community for everybody, and we love our .NET developers. So I'm so glad we're able to get together and talk. And I really hope you get a chance to hack on this little Raspberry Pi badge when it shows up at your doorstep.
I will head over to the mailbox right now. It's probably sitting in there. I didn't realize.
I hope so, because I really do. But if it doesn't, we'll get you a tracking number.
Very cool. I appreciate that. All right. So let's find out what's next. I think we're gonna call over to our respective hosts, aren't we?
I think we are. We're gonna say thank you to the GitHub Universe audience, and Scott, it's always great to see you, and our friends at .NET Conf. I think we haven't ruined the universe. I don't see any lightning or any Stay Puft Man coming over the building, so I think we were safe to cross the streams.
All right, good deal. Thanks for hanging out, and have a great show.
Thanks so much, Scott.